Where the money? The money? The money? Where the money? The money? The money? The money? Where T.I. son name? The money? Where the money? Where the money? Call T.I. tell him to get the money over here. Where the money? The money? The fuck? I just had a nightmare, nigga. Fucking my hoe, man. I'll tell my mama, I say, Mama, like if I died now, I'll live 3 lives. I don't care. I'm gonna die still happy. I done did everything that I dreamed about doing. I done that shit, bro. You know what I mean?
That was Alley Boy, the East Atlanta Zone 6 Don, talking about his own death like it was nothing. No fear in his voice, no shaking, just a man who had already made his peace. And here is the part that will sit in your chest all day, because he said that on camera roughly 3 weeks before it actually happened. 3 weeks! That's the whole distance between a man telling you he could go tonight and a man who is really gone. Now watch how the streets found out, because when the news dropped, nobody was ready for it.
Hey, yo, hold up. Before y'all scroll past this, Atlanta hip-hop just took an L that nobody saw coming.
So how does a man look death dead in the eye, tell you he is fine with it, and then walk right into it a few weeks later like he already knew the day was coming? Hold that thought, because we are coming all the way back to it, and by the end, you are going to understand exactly why he said what he said. Let me back all the way up so you know who we're even talking about, because this man's story runs deeper than most people ever knew. His real name was Curtis Freeman, and Alley Boy was born March 3rd, 1981, coming up out of Edgewood Courts in East Atlanta, deep in what the whole city knows as Zone 6. If you know anything about Atlanta, you know Edgewood was no joke back then, one of the roughest project complexes the city had, and that was the ground he was raised on. His people were dealing with their own demons while he was little, so he got passed around, staying with his grandmother on the east side and spending time on the west side too. He was a project kid who learned the streets before he learned much of anything else, and that world got into his blood early. But there was something else in him besides the streets, because from real young this boy wanted to rap. He picked up the mic around 9 years old, looking up to LL Cool J, and by the time he was 10 and 11, he was already in local studios, trying to figure out his sound. The problem was the same neighborhood that gave him the music also gave him the trap. By high school, he was hustling harder than he was studying, using whatever money the streets put in his pocket to buy studio time. That's the two-headed thing about coming up like that. One hand on your dream and the other hand on something that could put you in a cell. And for Alley Boy, the cell came. Listen to him talk about the life he came up in, because he never tried to dress it up pretty.
I don't be wanting to seem like I'm glorifying the shit.
Nah, we talking
you know what I'm saying?
In the
but like when I was younger, like I came up under like dudes who was on it, like they what they did. Like sold dope and raw. That what niggas did.
Nah, real talk.
Treating niggas out money and shit like that. Like so we grew up like that we thought was cool.
Around 19 years old, he and 3 other dudes caught a murder and robbery charge, and he ended up serving about a year behind it. And that name everybody knows him by, that came from this stretch of his life too, because older cats used to say he was wild, loud, hyper, country as hell, so they started calling him Alley as hell, and it stuck as Alley Boy. He carried that straight into his music once he got home. But the charge that really tells you who he was came in 2003 when he and Big Bang Black got picked up together on gun and marijuana charges out of a trap house. Now this is where the loyalty comes in that made him a legend before he ever went platinum. It was Alley Boy's 5th defense, so he took the bulk of the time, roughly 2 years, and let Big Bank walk with probation as a first-timer. He ate that time so his brother would not have to, and in the streets, that kind of loyalty is worth more than any hit record. And while he was locked down doing that time, Big Bank was on the outside building something so that Alley Boy would have a real platform when he touched back down. That something was Duct Tape Entertainment, and when Alley Boy came home around 2005, the two of them turned it into one of the most respected street labels Atlanta ever produced. That's where our story really opens up, and that's where the trouble that eventually took him first started brewing. Duct Tape was never some little bootleg operation. It was a whole movement. Alley Boy and Big Bank built it out of Zone 6 as a family first, a crew of dudes from the same blocks, and it grew into a label that carried real weight in the trap. They pulled distribution through Asylum and Atlantic, which for an independent street label out of Edgewood was a serious look. Alley Boy started stacking up projects like Warcry and The Gift of Discernment, and the mixtapes had the city on lock even when the mainstream radio never fully embraced him. And the rooms he was in tell you how early he was. Alley Boy was rockin' with Future, with Young Jeezy, with Gucci Mane back before Gucci was even Gucci, plus records with Meek Mill, Master P, and a gang of others. He was one of those names who was in the building before half of Atlanta's current stars ever blew up, so people respected him as a builder, not just a rapper. Through Duct Tape, he even helped launch his own brother, Trouble, who went on to become one of the most loved voices to ever come out of Atlanta before his own life was taken in 2022. But here's the part that turns this from a street success story into something a lot heavier, because the same culture that raised him was slowly poisoning him the whole time, and he didn't even know it. Alley Boy was a lean man. Codeine, the cough syrup, mixed up with ice and soda, sipping all day, every day. And in his world, that wasn't seen as anything crazy. That was just what everybody was doing. So he leaned all the way into it. Hear him explain how deep it went, because he never hid from it once he understood what it did to him.
I started drinking lean, bro. Excuse me. Bro, I had been drinking lean for so long. Like a lot, like I to the point where I could say I was addicted to it, you know what I mean? And then I used to sell it, so I used to keep it, you know what I mean? And this shit fucked up my kidney.
That's the cruel twist right there, because he wasn't just drinking it, he was selling it too, buying pints cheap in California for about $400 and flipping them in Atlanta for around $1,500. So he always had a supply, which meant he could drink as much as he wanted, for free, for years. He put the number at 15 to 20 years of use, and that whole time his body was quietly breaking down. The real gut punch is what he learned way too late. Turns out his body couldn't even handle the stuff to begin with. Listen to him lay it out.
So it like, all along I was allergic to codeine. I'm allergic to opiates. So it was like I was drinking poison the whole time and didn't know.
Think about how heavy that is. For 15, 20 years, he was pouring something into his body that he was allergic to, sipping poison a little at a time, and because it came in that watered-down liquid form with all the ice, he never felt one big hit of damage. It just crept up on him nice and slow, while his blood pressure climbed right along with it, and the two of them went to work on his kidneys. The first warnings were small. His feet started swelling, and one day he flat out collapsed after drinking. That put him in the hospital, and that's where they told him his kidney was already damaged. But like a lot of us do when the doctor gives us hard news, he didn't change everything he was supposed to change, not at first, and by the time he really slowed down, it was already too late. His kidneys failed. Watch him say the words nobody wants to hear a healthy man in his 40s say.
You know what I mean? Like, I got kidney failure from drinking codeine. It fucked up my kidneys. You know what I mean? Like, I need a kidney right now.
By 2023, he was on dialysis, and he didn't hide it. He posted about it and put a hashtag on it saying he needed a kidney. He framed the whole thing like it woke him up and gave him a purpose, which is why he started telling his story to anybody who would listen. By the next year, the dialysis had ramped up. 3 times a week, hooked up to a machine that did the job his kidneys could not do anymore, pulling the fluid off his body because his body could not manage it on its own. He got put on the transplant list, but a kidney never came, and he kept saying it could take years unless somebody stepped up as a living donor. So he lived like that, one machine keeping him going, while he sat in interview after interview trying to warn the next generation off the same road that got him. And in his last big conversation, that warning turned into something that felt almost like a goodbye. Now we can close that loop from the top, because the interview where he told his mama he could die happy was real, and it has a home. It came from his sit-down on Perspectives with Bank, put out on June 27, 2026, hosted by his own brother and duct tape co-founder Big Bank. That is the timeline that makes your skin crawl. One of his final real conversations dropping about 3 weeks before he was gone. And it was not bravado, it was peace. He was not saying he wanted to die. He still wanted to live long. He was saying that if his number got called, he would not feel cheated because he felt like he had already lived 3 whole lives packed into one. He had the street money, the respect in every neighborhood, the travel, the cars, the jewelry, the music, and most of all, he was able to take care of his mama and his kids and just pay his bills on time like a grown man. To him, that was a full life, so he could let go without bitterness. But that same conversation had a moment that hit even harder because grief was sitting right there in the room with him. They brought up an old photo, and it broke him down.
What picture you up?
Shit, me, you, BG, Trouble, Dave.
At Tip Party. I posted that shit when B Green passed away. We had the suits on, first time ever putting on suits.
Fuck me up.
That shit was my business.
Watch what that memory did to him.
Man, I seen that shit, man. That shit fucked me up.
That was a picture of him, Big Bank, B Green, Trouble, and Dave all in suits for the first time at a TI party back when the whole crew was alive and dreaming. But by the time he was sitting there looking at it, Big Bank was the only other one from that photo still breathing. Everybody else was gone. So when you watch him cry over that picture, you are watching a man who had already buried most of the people he came up with, a man carrying more funerals than most of us will ever go to, and now looking his own end in the face. He had made peace with getting older too, which is not a small thing for somebody from where he was from. Hear him tell it plain.
Bruh, old is a blessing.
You gotta get here, nigga.
Old is a blessing.
Come on.
These days, you know what I'm saying? Cause niggas ain't making it to 25.
Come on.
Niggas ain't making it
To 30.
being in the street, goddamn, without catching the lights in it, man.
Yeah.
Bro, I be watching First 48, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, that shit be heartbreaking, bro.
Yeah.
Seeing them young niggas go in there like, cause they ain't got no, they don't even know like the.
Then the day came. Around July 19th and 20th, 2026, Alley Boy passed away at 42 from complications tied to his long fight with kidney failure. At first, there was confusion because his daughter jumped on Instagram to shut down the early rumors, telling everybody her daddy was not dead and to stop spreading it. But not long after, the same page turned into a memorial with the date and a photo of her holding his hand, and that is how the city knew it was real. Family confirmation via daughter's IG and Billboard report, July 21, 2026. URL not provided in research doc. Please add. And the tributes poured in from people who were actually in the trenches with him, not just industry folks posting a black square. Big Bank, 21 Savage, Master P, Rocco, DJ Scream, Rollo, 2 Chainz, CeeLo Green, and Boosie all paid their respects, every one of them tying it back to the health battle he had been so open about. Now here's why this is bigger than one man, because Alley Boy's story is not the first time the streets watched this exact movie play out. Lean has been quietly taking Southern rap legends for a long time. Go all the way back to 2007 when Pimp C of UGK was found dead in a hotel at 33, and the coroner tied it to the codeine and promethazine in lean mixed with sleep apnea. That was one of the first big warnings the culture ever got, and clearly not everybody heard it. Come closer to home, right back to Atlanta, and you hit Rich Homie Quan. He died in 2024 at 33, and the Fulton County Medical Examiner ruled it an accidental overdose that included codeine and promethazine, the same lean ingredients, in the same city almost 20 years after Pimp C. Different man, different era, same poison at the center of it all. But there's one more name that shows it doesn't always have to end this way, and that's Freeway out of Philly. He fought chronic kidney disease, did dialysis 3 times a week just like Alley Boy, and then got a kidney transplant in 2019 and lived to keep telling his story. That's the piece that makes Alley Boy's ending sting even more, because the kidney he was praying for was the exact thing that saved somebody else. The road out existed, it just never reached him in time. So when Alley Boy sat down 3 weeks before the end and told his mama he could die happy because he had lived 3 lives, he was not being dramatic. He was a man who already knew where the story was going, who had watched it take his friends, and who chose to make peace instead of panic. The lesson in all of this is simple and it's heavy, because the same lifestyle that builds the legend in these streets is often the same one quietly running the clock down, and by the time the body speaks up, it can already be too late. Rest in peace to Alley Boy, a real one who built something out of nothing and told his own truth till the very end. If somebody you love is sipping on that same poison and thinks it's nothing, send them this video, because Alley Boy spent his last years trying to warn people, and the best way to honor him is to actually listen. Drop his name in the comments and tell us your favorite duct tape memory and keep his story going.
I'll tell my mom, I say, Mama, like if I died now, I live 3 lives, I don't care. I'm gonna die still happy. I done did everything that I dreamed about doing. I done that shit, bro.
100%.
You know what I mean?
The money. Where the money at? The money. Where the motherfucking money